Good evening, I'm Ces Oreña-Drilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Shawn Yao.
The big stories tonight. Not so happy holidays for some of the so-called main characters in the flood control scandal. Zaldico is now a fugitive. Curlee Discaya is up for arrest and the BGC boys could be spending Christmas in Senate detention.
And corruption is creeping in not only in flood control projects, as we learn more about possible kickback schemes in the BIR's letter of authority and the AIX program or assistance to individuals in crisis situation.
And amid corruption controversies here at home, Pinoy athletes in the SEA Games remain focused on their campaign, with several of them already bagging gold medals for the Philippines.
The long arm of the law may soon catch up with former lawmaker Zaldico. Co has been declared a fugitive from justice by the Sandigan Bayan along with 3 board members of construction firm SunWest SunWest Incorporated. In separate resolutions dated December 10, the Anti-Graft Court's 5th Division granted the Ombudsman's motion to declare Co, SunWest directors Aderma Angeli Alcazar, Cesar Buenaventura, and Noel Cao as fugitives. That's for supposedly evading the arrest warrants issued by the court on November 21st. The court defines a fugitive from justice as someone who flees after being convicted or charged by a Philippine court to evade arrest or prosecution. The Sandigan Bayan ruled that the prosecution presented sufficient grounds that Co and company are on the run. Until now, the warrants against them remain unserved. The court also noted Co's continued disregard of appeals to come home and refusal to submit counter affidavits. With this development, the Sandigan Bayan ordered the Foreign Affairs Department to immediately cancel the passports of Co, Alcazar, Buenaventura, and Cao. The 4 have been indicted for 2 counts of graft and 1 count of malversation over a substandard flood control project in Oriental Mindoro worth 289.5 million pesos. Co left the Philippines in July for the United States to seek medical treatment. He refuses to return, citing serious concerns for his safety. But now that Co has been declared a fugitive, his legal options have also been effectively narrowed. Under the fugitive disentitlement doctrine, Co can no longer ask the court for help or protection until he surrenders. At the same time, he can no longer seek to dismiss the cases filed against him or ask for temporary restraining orders.
In related news, Senate Blue Ribbon Committee Chairman Ping Lacson says they will soon recommend the filing of criminal charges against those involved in the flood control scandal. According to Lacson, who is also Senate President pro tempore, they are now finalizing the committee report on their investigations. The senators' panel has also provided the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, or ICI, and the Department of Justice with information that it has gathered. Lacson said that so far, the panel could recommend charges against the district engineers of the DPWH and other public officials. Senator Ping likewise revealed that the Blue Ribbon Committee's inquiry could soon wrap up. With charges on the flood control mess already filed in court, Lacson said the panel might violate the sub judice rule against making statements that could influence ongoing cases.
Kasi yung iba naka-file na sa korte, so bound na kami ng sub judice rule. We cannot anymore, elicit much information. So isang consideration yon bakit kailangan i-wrap up namin yung investigation.
Still on the flood control scandal probe and prosecution, personalities now detained at the Senate will spend Christmas and New Year in the upper chamber. Senate President Tito Sotto said there are no requests for the release of contractor Curlee Discaya and former Public Works engineers Henry Alcantara, Bryce Hernandez, and JP Mendoza. These people were earlier cited in contempt during past Blue Ribbon Committee hearings. Family and friends can visit the so-called Senate detainees. Sotto said the 4 will receive a Noche Buena package from the Senate. Meantime, the Independent Commission for Infrastructure, or ICI, has invited former Public Works Undersecretary Catalina Cabral to its hearing. Cabral is being tagged in an alleged scheme of siphoning kickbacks from infrastructure projects, and the ICI hopes to receive confirmation of her attendance before December 15. That's the last day of ICI hearings for the year and the last day of outgoing Commissioner Babe Singson with a fact-finding body. Assistant Ombudsman Miko Clavano blasts contractor Sara Discaya's claims of fear stemming from her own decisions. But Clavano urged Discaya to also consider the impact of allegedly diverting funds meant for flood control projects. The official also emphasized that Sara is entitled to due process but cannot use fear as a way to evade accountability. Meanwhile, Prosecutor General Richard Fadullon said Sara Discaya's penalty could be downgraded after her voluntary surrender to the NBI. That's for the graft and malversation cases filed by the Ombudsman in connection to the 96.5 million peso flood control project in Davao Occidental. But Fadullon insists Sara and Curlee Discaya should still return the money they illegally acquired through anomalous projects.
And now speaking of Sara Discaya, she's now still in the custody of the National Bureau of Investigation while she awaits her arrest warrant. Tonight, we talked to NBI Acting Director Lito Magno about this. Good evening to you, Director. Welcome to the Big Story.
Good evening, ladies. Good evening, everyone. To all your televiewers and listeners, good evening.
Sir, how would you define the position of Sara Discaya now in your custody? Is she a visitor? Ano po ang terminology na dapat nating gamitin doon?
Well, basically, she put herself under our custody, awaiting the issuance of the warrant of arrest from the court. She is allowed visitor, but under a restriction. Nobody is allowed to carry firearms. No, her security is not allowed within our premises.
So she could...
Lawyers are allowed to visit anytime.
But she refuses to call it a surrender. Parang...
Oh, well, that is since there's no warrant yet, so it depends, no? But for us, she is surrendering herself before the NBI.
Is that not a little bit
awkward.
strange?
Awkward.
Yeah.
Parang awkward. Di ba po?
Alin po, ma'am?
Yung...
The fact that she surrendered before the arrest warrant against her has been released. So parang technically, I guess she didn't surrender because wala pa namang warrant. Is this, has it happened before, Director?
Yes, before nagkakaroon na po tayo ng mga voluntary surrendering themselves, no, before the issuance of a warrant of arrest. Yung iba po ang sinasabi ay they fear for their life. Yung po ang common na sinasabi nila, and the reason for their having themselves under the custody of the NBI or any other law enforcement agency.
Is that the same reason that Sara Discaya has said pretty much, no? Because the president released a video saying na ipapahanap na siya with the full force of law enforcement. So is that what she told you?
In her letter, she stated that her voluntarily submitting herself to the custody of the NBI is because that there were issues considering that there's public clamor and that she fears for her safety.
And when that happens, Director, is the NBI required to just accept this individual, or can you turn them away? And where is Sara Discaya exactly being held at the NBI kung hindi pa po siya detainee? So does that mean she can leave also anytime habang wala pa pong arrest warrant?
Tama po yun. She can leave anytime. At since wala pa po siyang warrant of arrest, she is just using one of our room doon po sa main office.
I saw kasi a video, I think from ABS-CBN, they had a report. Parang may mga unan lang po sa isang black na sofa. Doon po ba siya na mamalagi right now?
Yes, ma'am. Doon po.
But, So you will allow her to leave if she expresses a desire to?
Yes, ma'am. If she wants to leave, then we cannot do anything about it dahil wala pa naman po ngang arrest warrant.
And then pagdating ng arrest warrant, what then happens? Ano po yung magiging steps with Miss Sara Discaya?
The moment the arrest warrant is issued, it will be served to her at i-return po natin to sa issuing court.
So, it's just odd, Director, forgive us for asking all these questions kasi parang meron pa siyang negosasyon na ginagawa, parang it's an very unusual circumstance. Kasi nandyan siya,
As
pwede
far as
naman
I
siyang
know, sa
umalis.
amin po,
She might put the NBI in a very awkward position. Kung may mangyari sa kanya, umalis siya, baka kayo pa ang masisi.
Well, sa amin po, may nabanggit po kayo na negosasyon, no? Wala po kaming negosasyon with her. At yun naman pong sinasabi natin na baka siya umalis anytime. At wala rin po kaming pwersa na pigilan siya. Dahil nga po voluntarily pa yung pag-commit niya sa amin, ang kanyang sarili.
But Director, this voluntary surrender submission of Sara Discaya, could that be seen as an act of goodwill, good faith, so that her penalties could be downgraded?
Siguro po, nakukonsider po siya na generally, kinukonsider siya as an act of good faith, no? Dahil po ang sinasabi ng batas dyan, by voluntarily surrendering or committing yourself to the law enforcement authorities, ay nabawasan po ang paghahanap at ng mga alagad po ng batas.
And bakit po NBI? Nagtataka rin kami, did she randomly pick the NBI? Did she feel kayo yung safest place to go? Because, I mean, she's only the first, but others that are similar, in a similar case, could also follow in her footsteps, and mamaya, biglang ang dami na pong nandyan.
In fact, nagkaroon po ng unang nag-volunteer din to commit themselves po sa ibang kasama niya sa kaso, no, yung po mga DPWH officials, and they are also now under custody of the NBI in Davao. With regards po kung bakit kami, mas maganda po siguro siya ang makakasagot nun, ma'am.
Sumulpot na lang po ba siya dyan? Tumawag po ba o paano?
I think lawyers made some arrangement with some of our officials.
Okay, and to clarify, yung sa Davao Occidental din, na DPWH officials who turned themselves in, they also chose to turn themselves into the NBI branch there.
Yes, ma'am. Doon din po sila, together with their counsel, no? Nakipag-usap din po sila doon sa ating mga bureau officials there. And ngayon po, pumunta din sila at voluntarily surrendered themselves.
Now let's go, Director, to the search by the NBI of the condominium unit of former Ako Bicol Party List Representative Saldico. Ano po ang nakita ninyo doon? Anything that could be useful in the case against him?
As of now, wala pa po ang report sa akin. Probably they're searching. I'm out of the office po. Wala pa po akong natatanggap na report except that they have implemented a search warrant.
And this is already the second time that the NBI team has entered the condominium unit, no, sa may Horizon Homes po sa BGC. The first time, I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong na lang, no, Director, na may nakita silang mga documents na posibleng may kinalaman sa mga flood control cases. Is that why there is this second search today?
Yes, ma'am. Opo. Yun po ang purpose ng search warrant po natin is to seize the documents na nakita po doon.
Any other places, any other residences of the former congressman that you are applying a search warrant for?
Sa ngayon po, ma'am, we are still on the process of validating information.
Pati opisina po ba ng SunWest kasali?
Lahat po yan ay nasa ano po natin, ma'am, no? Mga iniimbestigahan pa po natin.
Ayaw natin panguna, baka naman...
Mawala.
although, several months have passed already since this has erupted. So medyo parang siguro naman itatago na nila yung mga kanilang incriminating na evidence. What do you hope to find?
Well, that's always a possibility kung ganun nga po, no? But still, we are just doing our job po na pagiging thoroughness natin at still na mga natatanggap nating reports ay binavalidate at ina-actionan po natin.
Okay, and ano ba yung official role po or mandate na binigay sa NBI with regard to this whole flood control investigation? Director Lito, meron po bang official role yung NBI?
We are part of the task force po ng DOJ that conducts the investigation and possible prosecution if warranted po doon sa mga nabanggit po na unang mga proyekto, yung ghost project na nabanggit ang ating Pangulo.
Okay.
So are there any other particular areas na may mga anomalous infrastructure projects na tinitignan po ang NBI na susunod aside from the ones in Davao, Occidental, yung Oriental, Mindoro, pati na rin po yung Bulacan?
We are moving outside na po dito sa Bulacan, no? At papunta na po tayo doon sa iba pang mga sinasabing may ghost projects.
Can you share with us, Director, baka kung ano lang yung mga provinces? Yung next.
Marami po kasi siyang nabanggit, no? So we are validating if these are ghost projects. Yung iba po ay inuumpisahan na. Some have been filed before the prosecutor's office at pending PI na po yan.
And you get the orders kung saan kayo pupunta to investigate from the DOJ?
Wala naman po. Since ang NBI naman po is all over the country, no? So ang instruction po namin through the DOJ is to check those projects that were given by the ICI and to work coordinate with DPWH and other law enforcement agency in checking these projects po.
So there's a team that you have assigned to do this flood control investigations?
There's a task force po. Meron pong task force together with the... There's a task force po together with the DOJ po.
Now, dun po sa... are you also in charge of serving the arrest warrants on those these board directors of SunWest, co-accused of Saldico?
Nagko-coordinate po tayo sa PNP po. Nagko-coordinate po tayo. And if it happens na meron din po tayong informasyon regarding these fugitives, declared fugitives from justice, ay isa-serve po natin yung mga warrants of arrest nila.
So normally kasi 'di ba, Director, yung process is it's really the PNP who will serve it. And kung nawawala or hindi mahanap, saka kayo kumbaga ilo-loop in at papatulong maghanap. Ganun po.
Hindi naman po, ma'am. Ang warrant of arrest po kasi is addressed to any peace officer.
Okay.
So at the same time, we can serve it together or we can serve it separately po. Doon po sa ano. But we always coordinate with one another po, ma'am.
Ano po ang information doon sa mga board members ng SunWest? Are they still in the country or have they also left?
Sa amin pong pagkakaalam ay nandito lang naman po sa Pilipinas pa. The last time we checked.
Angeli Alcazar, Aderma, Cesar...
Except pa, meron po atang isa na nasa abroad pa. Yung before the issuance of warrant ay nakaalis.
Sino po doon?
Hindi ko ma-remember, ma'am, yung nasa listahan po kasi.
Hindi si Noel Cao, Cesar Buenaventura, Aderma, Angeli Alcazar.
Hindi ko talaga parang hindi ko maano sa dami kasi nung
O sige po.
nandun
Pero sa
listahan
wakas
namin,
may
ma'am.
arrest warrant na. Sana naman ay talagang matuntun ng mga operatiba ng NBI ang mga to. Dahil ito na yung
Oo.
po ang matagal nang inaantay ng publiko.
Opo. Kaya nga po humihingi din po kami ng tulong sa ating mga kababayan, no? Any information that would lead to the arrest of these people is very much welcome po.
Actually, Director, marami na rin cast of characters dito sa flood control scandal, ano? But just this week, the Vice Mayor of Bansud Oriental Mindoro, Alma Mirano, was subpoenaed by the NBI. What came out of that meeting, Director? Na-explain po ba niya kung bakit nahanap ang Mimaropa DPWH engineer na si Dennis Abagon sa kanyang tahanan?
Yun nga po, yung sa unang report po na nabanggit ay Engineer Apagon is renting or leasing one of the units na ang may-ari naman daw po ay si Vice Mayor ng Bangkod.
So wala pong liability doon si Vice Mayor?
Tinitingnan pa po yung kanyang binigay na statement, no? Hindi ko pa po nabasa at ini-evaluate pa po yan ng ating mga agents on case.
All right, marami pong salamat and we hope to get some good news from you in the coming days. NBI Acting
Salamat
Director.
po. Pasensya na po kayo. Pasensya na po kayo at medyo hindi ko na matandaan yung ibang mga pangalan.
Oo nga ho. Follow up namin kayo, pati na yung resulta ng
Sige po.
search warrant dun sa Horizon Homes ni Mr. Ko. Marami pong salamat. NBI
Sige.
Director Lito Magno. In other news, Ramil Madriaga was motivated by personal grievances when he filed his now circulating affidavit, according to his lawyer Raymond Palad. Madriaga had earlier accused Vice President Sara Duterte of receiving campaign funds from drug syndicates and pogo bosses. In our sister program Storycon, Palad explained that Madriaga felt abandoned after Duterte did not assist him in a complaint filed by former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque. Madriaga claimed to have handled confidential matters for the vice president in the past. This included intel reporting for Duterte from 2021 to 2022, which was supposedly for her presidential run. At the moment, Madriaga is detained at the BJMP facility in Taguig over charges of kidnapping.
Ang feeling niya, napabayaan siya, inabandona siya ng mga taong tinulungan niya. So alam mo yung galit ni Madriaga na ang dami kong ginawa sa inyo, mga confidential matters, pick up ng pera, delivery ng pera. Tapos nung dinimanda siya ng grupo ni Attorney Roque, hindi daw siya tinulungan ni VP Sara. Yun, masamang-masama talaga.
Okay.
Among Madriaga's revelations in his affidavit was that he formed Sara's vice presidential security group after the elections. He also testified to receiving and delivering millions of pesos during his stint at the office of the vice president. Two personalities later implicated in an alleged corruption scandal at the OVP and Department of Education. These agencies were simultaneously led by Duterte until a couple of years ago. Attorney Palad says his client was not forced to file the affidavit, which they are now planning to submit to the Ombudsman. Palad adds he already did a thorough background check of Madriaga before publicizing his notarized affidavit.
Mahirap kasi maniwala sa kwento lang. Kailangan natin suportahan yan. Pero ang unang in-establish muna namin dyan, yung connection niya kay VP Sara. Nakita ko yung Facebook niya. Tapos yung mga photo na pinadala from the family, talagang nagtrabaho siya sa pamilya ng mga Duterte.
We're just going to take a quick break, but coming up, the Social Welfare Department sues several barangay officials over alleged kickbacks from assistance meant for people in crisis. That story and more when the big story returns. Keep it here on One News.
Welcome back to the big story. The Senate Blue Ribbon Committee has opened another investigation into corruption in government, this time on the LOAs or letters of authority by the BIR. The resource persons called in include newly installed Commissioner Charlie Mendoza, his predecessor Romeo Lumagi Jr., and Commissioner during the Pinoy administration, Kim Henares. In his opening speech, Senator Erwin Tulfo slammed the misuse and abuse of these LOAs and mission orders, or MOs, citing numerous complaints to his office by both big and small companies. He said that in the scheme, BIR personnel would extort money using fraudulent LOAs, then remit to the government only 25% of the money they collect, pocketing the lion's share.
Unfortunately, only 2% of the total tax collected by the BIR from the business sector came from LOAs or mission orders. The 98%, ladies and gentlemen, from voluntary tax payments by the businesses. So ibig sabihin, Mr. Chair, 2% lamang ang pumapasok sa kaban ng bayan sa total tax collection. Yung the rest, 98% voluntary. So where did the rest of the collection go from these instruments? E di po sa bulsa ng mga examiner, RDOs at regional directors. Ganito po yung modus, Mr. Chair. 25% lang ng koleksyon kasi napupunta sa gobyerno yung may resibo. 75% goes straight to their pockets.
Senator J.V. Ejercito said several businesses also complained to him of getting multiple LOAs in one taxable year, including one operator of a mini grocery and eatery in Lawag. Finance Secretary Frederick Go also said that in his 2 years as Special Advisor to the President on Economic Affairs, investors' biggest complaint to him is the BIR.
As a Special Assistant to the President for Investment and Economic Affairs for almost 2 years, the biggest complaint of every investor that has come through my office is the BIR.
Investor meaning foreign firms or local firms?
Both, sir, but mostly foreign.
Meantime, the Social Welfare Department has charged 14 barangay officials from Iloilo City with grave misconduct, graft, and abuse of authority. This complaint stems from the alleged illegal deductions of cash aid under the Assistance to Individuals in Crisis Situations, or AICS program. On Thursday, DSWD officials brought thick documents containing pieces of evidence to the Ombudsman. Among those charged were barangay chairmen, councilors, and treasurers. According to the DSWD, at least 14 beneficiaries complained about officials forcibly deducting from their 10,000 peso payouts before they left the distribution venues. And this led to the suspension of the AICS payout in Iloilo City while the investigation is ongoing.
Sasabihin nila, o sige, pag hindi ka nagbigay, wala ka nang matatanggap. Wala ka nang matatanggap pang habang buhay. Kaya yung tao natatakot na, sige, makikisama na lang ako. Bibigyan kita ng porsyento. And mukhang systemic yung proseso nila na inaabangan nila yung mga benepisyaryo kalat-kalat sa iba't barangay pero isang klaseng taripa yung ini-impose nila.
This is something that we will take very seriously, no? Dahil itong ayuda, assistance that are supposed to reach the people who need it the most, kinakaltasan ng mga tao na hindi naman karapat-dapat kumuha ng porsyento.
The DSWD is now investigating other similar cases of payout kickbacks in the AICS program with a promise of more charges coming soon. The agency reminds beneficiaries that only the DSWD and never local officials have the authority to add or deduct from the list of AICS recipients.
Sa may Davao region, nung nakaraang taon, na kung matatandaan natin, yung buntis na nanay ay nakaltasan din nung halaga na natanggap niya nung siya ay nakauwi sa kanyang pong bahay after receiving the aid. Tinitingnan din natin yung digitalization ng assistance to individuals in crisis situation na kung saan from the submission of the necessary requirements hanggang sa pagtanggap noong kanila pong aid ay magiging digital na po. Ibig sabihin yan, there's a system that will be followed and then matatanggap na po nila yung tulong mula sa kanilang electronic wallet.
Now moving on to other stories, we have business news making headlines this Thursday. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas lowered its benchmark policy rate by 25 basis points to 4.5%, the lowest level in more than 3 years. This marks the fifth straight meeting with a rate cut by the Monetary Board. The cut is in response to the country's subpar economic growth brought about by the flood control scandal, outweighing concerns of a depreciating peso. BSP Governor Eli Remolona says, however, that from here on, the central bank will take a cautious stance, possibly marking an end to the easing cycle that began in August 2024. About 12 hours before the announcement, the U.S. Federal Reserve eased interest rates by 25 basis points on the back of slowing job growth. Analysts say the narrowing differential between the Fed and the BSP, which now stands at 75 basis points, can remove pressure on the peso, which hit an all-time low last Tuesday. And the Asian Development Bank approved a $500 million loan to support the country's blue economy. Under the Marine Ecosystems for Blue Economy Development Program, the ADB will fund programs to manage the country's rich ecosystems and rejuvenate coastal areas. Blue economy sectors have contributed 1 trillion pesos in the economy last year, equivalent to nearly 4% of the GDP. ADB Philippines Country Director Andrew Jeffries says this is the multilateral lender's first extensive cross-sector program focusing on national blue economy development in the region. And on Wednesday, the ADB announced it would shell out $400 million in loan to support programs improving the ease of doing business in the Philippines.
There's good news and bad news when it comes to the Philippine real estate market. The good news is the office sector has remained resilient despite the mass POGO exit. The bad news? There's still a 3.5 years worth of oversupply in the residential market. Mobile Journal Amy Atienza has that story.
The Philippines office property market has shown surprising resilience in the face of many headwinds, but the residential market continues to battle an oversupply problem. That was the headline at Lee Chu Property Consultants year-end briefing for 2025. In the office market, take-up improved and vacancies eased even in the absence of POGOs.
The office market today is 1.2 million square meters. And a reminder of that is that we are doing this without the help of the POGO industry. But the big story here is what we've seen this year, which is a rise of what we call the Global Capability Centers, or GCCs, or formerly known as captive tenants.
Global Capability Centers, or GCCs, are essentially internal offshoring centers for multinationals. They serve only the company's business needs. The big ones in the country, for instance, are JP Morgan and Wells Fargo. LPC Director for Commercial Leasing Miko Baranda says the data shows that the effects of the POGO exit have largely dissipated, as more GCCs in other sectors take an interest in the Philippines.
We're also seeing new players, primarily represented in the healthcare industry, in finance, etc. But where the opportunity lies here is that even though there are quite a few of those brands existing, if you look at the number of GCCs in the Philippines today, there are 100 companies.
On the other hand, the residential property market remains sluggish. LPC estimates it will take 3.5 years to clear out unsold supply, with most of them concentrated in Metro Manila. The glut is spread out across 570 buildings, or about 80,300 units.
Unfortunately, we're at a 6-year low in terms of total units sold for residential condominiums. So last year we thought was already quite a low year. This year it might end up lower. In the last 20 days, 25 days of this year, developers can still sweep many of their potential buyers to convert to sales.
Goles says they're seeing more buyers explore the secondary market because prices are better there. Many who bought units during the POGO boom, for instance, are now liquidating at competitive prices, something Goles says is an opportunity.
So as much as 35 to 65% discount from primary to secondary units in the same building, in the same district. by the same developer. So there's actually an opportunity if you're a first home buyer to go to government agencies, especially the financing companies or financing agencies, to avail of these lower interest rate loans.
Goles also says in the coming years, they expect to see more development to the north and south of Metro Manila.
That movement south will likely be mirrored movement towards the north. And the catalyst of that movement will be the new Manila International Airport.
Rental rates have also come down after the POGO premium was taken out. And today's rates, LPC says, more accurately reflect actual demand. Kapatid Amy Atienza, we are One News.
Right, and now shifting gears to sports, the Philippines now ranks 4th at the 33rd Southeast Asian Games. And just in, we have garnered 6 gold medals, 5 silver, and 23 bronze. Overall, host country Thailand remains at the top, followed by Indonesia and Vietnam. And now let's get the latest from One Sports anchor Miguel De Pianco, who joins us live in action all the way from Thailand. Good news for us. Dip, tell us all about the performance of our Filipino athletes on day 3 of the SEA Games.
Hey, Pauline, one more day here in Bangkok, we means another chance to win more medals for Team Philippines. And we did just that, starting with a demonstration sport mixed martial arts. I was lucky enough to witness the gold medal won by our athlete Jelly Bulaong in the modern 60-kilogram female category. Now, not a lot of people know, but she's also a counselor back in the Philippines. So she was talking to us about the many challenges that she had to face moving forward in the competition because of the busy schedule, yet still she was able to manage to make up her time lost with her public service, but at the same time still train with our mixed martial arts team and then bag the gold in that demonstration sport. And some of the other medalists from our sport, for the bronze, we had Giselle Daya, Denzel John Alipio, Gina Arauz, who happens to be the first Pinoy Filipina MMA pro fighter even before, and of course, John Claude Saclag to wrap it up. And good news din dahil kakarating lang ni Joanny Delgaco in Bangkok, Thailand. She's set to compete in multiple events tomorrow, so that's good news for Team Philippines.
Well, congratulations to Jelly Bulaong. But Dip, I heard that it won't count towards our medal tally as a gold medal. Can you explain to us why it's not going to be included?
Right, so mixed martial arts or MMA is actually a demonstration sport here in Bangkok, Thailand. So for this edition of the SEA Games, they are showcasing MMA for the first time, which means they will try to figure out and pwedeng improve moving forward. And then if it's up to the standards of our organizers, they will deem it as a sport already, official sport in the coming SEA Games. But for now, since it's on demo, or kumbaga, the sport that is of value, then the medals won't count in the total tally of our teams. But our athletes still get the individual medal, which Jelly got the gold medal.
Nonetheless, we're still so proud of Jelly. But Deb, tell us about some of the events that you are going to be covering in the coming days and about the campaign of our Filipino athletes. How excited are they? How are their spirits before they compete?
Yeah, Pauline, you mentioned a while ago the number of medals we had. Yung mga humabol late this afternoon, we had 2 gold medals in Jiu-Jitsu. We had Kimberly Custodio, Dean Rojas, and also Alea Finnegan in gymnastics. So good news for Team Pilipinas. And upcoming, of course, yung mga volleyball games for our men's Alas Pilipinas. We also have the Gilas Pilipinas 5-on-5. I believe they are already here in Bangkok as well. So they're looking to avenge, especially after that loss of our 3x3 team earlier in the coming days.
All right, well, we're now 4th in the tally, and hopefully we keep things that way. We want to finish in the top 4 and hopefully get 60 gold medals for this edition of the SEA Games. But for now, thank you very much for that update. That was One Sports anchor Miguel De Pianco reporting to us live from Thailand.
Speaking of the SEA Games and Filipino athletes in Thailand, well, the outfits they wore for the SEA Games opening ceremony were especially made to be both stylish and sustainable. We talk about that on sustainability when the big story returns. Keep it here.
Thank you for staying with us here on The Big Story. For the ensembles of the Philippine team or Team Philippines in the opening ceremony of the 33rd SEA Games, visionary designer Abel Bacudio teamed up with the DOST's Philippine Textile Research Institute. That's to create a sustainable fabric called Piñavel. Piñavel is a high-performance textile that matched perfectly with Bacudio's patriotic collection called Laro ng Lahi. Piñavel is made of Filipino indigenous fibers such as pineapple, bamboo, abaca, banana, and water hyacinth. Abel chose the textile for its feather-light texture and resilience. Here we feature sustainable initiatives one story at a time. Welcome to Sustainability. Tonight, we speak to Philippine Textile Research Institute Director Julius Leaño Jr. Hello, Julius. Thank you for joining us here on Sustainability. We will talk about sustainability.
Yes. Thank you very much for having us. Thank you.
Yes. Walk us through the process of how you and Abel collaborated to make this beautiful collection for the SEA Games.
Well, that was about 2 years ago. He was looking for us. I was looking for him because we were about to also do something, with the designers. We work with the designers, the creative industry, because we want designer inputs in research and development. So, well, finally, we met each other and we pitched the idea of using natural fiber blended textiles to him. Exactly how he's moving his collections now. So, that was the start. And then we started to move.
So these are all natural, it's a natural fiber.
Yes,
walang synthetic.
We're blending it already with natural fibers. Yeah, natural fiber content na yan. Of course, cotton is still part of the fabric. So it's part of this whole narrative, of shifting our consumer behavior from the highly dependent one on polyester base, the quick, easy to handle fabrics to something that's more sustainable, something
and
more
also
Filipino.
That won't harm the environment.
Of course, yes, exactly.
So tell us how you came up with this material.
The story of the Philippine, we call it the Philippine tropical fabric, by the way. That's by law. It's named through a Republic Act. But the idea here is this is not a young technology. It's an old one. As early as the 70s, the Institute have already embarked on developing the blending of local natural fibers with, of course, the staple fibers and come up with fabric.
Yung Rami noon?
Rami is part of that story, of course, but we lost Rami, the story of Rami went to China and everything. So the substitute was pineapple. Pineapple, why? Because pineapple is an agricultural waste. As an agricultural byproduct. Banana is an agricultural byproduct. You don't plant them for the fiber, you plant them for the fruit. So after planting, what happens? So we get the fiber out from these materials. And that's the start of the sustainability concept. But in the 70s, that was not the motivation. The motivation was simply to find a substitute material for all of these materials that are flooding the market. Okay. So that was a start. And then, iterated, and then came Rami, came abaca, pineapple, banana. Now bamboo is part of the collection, and also saluyot. So the story gets even better as we move along.
And bamboo is supposed to be very soft, one of the softest.
Supposed to be, but that one is going through a very unsustainable way of processing. That's rayon technology. That's an old technology that uses a lot of chemicals. So that's why it comes up to be very silky. Because actually you cannot tell that to be bamboo anymore.
It is so silky and cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
So to achieve that, hindi sustainable.
Yes. But there's another approach, we call it the lyocell process, which we are exploring now for bamboo and so many other materials. Science gets into the picture. The bid for sustainability cannot just be a narrative. And that's why we are also anti-greenwashing, because it's plaguing the market and we just have to label it properly. Bamboo, the bamboo that we're developing, you can really see the bamboo in the fabric. Well, you don't see the whole bamboo pole, but you see the fibers there. Under the microscope, it's still legitimately bamboo.
That's why you see the white here.
Yes.
That is...
Because the resistance of the fiber, I'm sounding scientific now, the resistance of the
we want to
fiber...
hear that.
The resistance of the fiber to dyes or to a certain dyeing technique distinguishes them from one another. So if you dye pineapple with banana, for example, you'll see the difference and how they uptake the dye. So that's exactly that gives the striations that you normally see in this fabric.
Yeah, so better than a synthetic fabric na walang...
Yeah, flat, right? Flat, dull, and dead. So, but it's an evolving consumer. It's an evolving eye as well. So may fancy na rin tayo for something more natural.
I want to know if we stood out because in the SEA Games, kasi sustainable yung sustainable. Inari na eh.
Yeah.
Yung ano natin.
No, I think
uniforms.
I'm glad because you saw the one that's not actually colored, but that's because that's the one that's actually made of the Philippine tropical fabric. The bright ones, of course, are still trying to transition because these are still heavily still on polyester and cotton, and of course
like what you're
dyes.
wearing.
Yes,
that's Inabel.
Yes, it's Inabel. It's hand-woven, but the materials is still a blend of cotton and polyester.
Oh, that's the irony, no?
Still the irony, but we are moving towards that direction. As I said, there are a lot of cotton materials that are available to the weavers now. Natural dyes is also available to the weavers. A good collection of one of the weaves in the Visayas has transitioned already from purely synthetic and flashy colors to something more muted and more regal. So it's not impossible.
I'm going to be the party pooper here and ask about the cost of that. And even for like giving the weavers, for example, this pure thread made out of purely Philippine textures versus something that's like a poly cotton, as you call it. Would it be such a huge difference in price?
No, it's not. The good thing there is we're trying to support. The government is here to stimulate the market. Even train them back to weaving cotton again. These weavers have not woven cotton already in their lifetimes. Even the 101-year-old.
Sanay na
sa polyester, yes, and kahit yung galit na galit ka, hindi mapuputol yung polyester, but then you're shifting back to silk, you're shifting back to cotton. There's a lot of the skilling and upskilling that needs to be done there. And cost is a very arbitrary number. Cost, we only talk about it as material cost. But how about the cost in the environment? How about the cost? If I account all of these things to you, then I might be charging you more, right? But that's just part of the advocacy of the sustainability program. We want to make sure that we really capture the value. And, as you said, the one that appeared in the SEA Games is a narrative. Anong bang kwento ng tela na yun?
Alam
and we're
mo,
talking
this
about
is how
it, right?
we can distinguish the Philippines. It's our selling point.
It is.
Kung yung
I agree.
iba, sige, China, go ahead, do your synthetic things. Diba?
We have the narrative. And the narrative is not just emotion-led. It's not just about culture. It's about the science as well. And then, of course, we have the material. A material that can really promise and prove that it can really function as such, because that's really important. And of course, the aesthetics. That's where the creative industry come in. The flair is also part.
But talk about, in answer to the concern rin of Shawn, the weaving machines that you provide, diba? Like lakat, which makes the
shoes,
the sneakers, made of piña.
Yes.
They use your facility.
No, they...
Mahal ba o paano?
Oh, no. That one is we call it a regional yarn production center. So, normally, all of them are in Manila. So, imagine if I am in Iloilo and I want to have access to yarns. Pupunta ka pa ng Manila. So, we try to locate them strategically across the Philippines, all over the Philippines.
How many yarn?
We now have
just
4.
opened one, right?
Come
Sir,
again?
you opened one in
Yes,
Ilocos Norte.
very recently in Ilocos
regional
Norte.
yarn production innovation center.
Yes, in Ilocos Norte.
Magkano ang isang ganyan?
Nasa 50 million.
Malaki rin.
Malaki siya if you're looking at it from the investment point, but that's where we catalyze the
and that's where
textile
government
activity.
comes in.
Yes,
this is
that's
where the
government
funding
comes
of
in.
government
Should
really...
be.
Di ba?
Yeah.
Kesa kung saan mga flood control na wala naman.
But we're very proud of that because that was a project that was initiated this year. It was bidded out this year. It was constructed this year and inaugurated this year.
So it's operational?
It is operational. So it already has produced the first set of yarns, and we intend to do it in the next one in Cabacan, North Cotabato, which, by the way, will be launching in March next year. So that will be the 4th. And then the 5th will be in Rizal for the upcycling of yarns. Remember, Rizal is your garments capital. Ang daming retaso.
So yung mga retaso.
Yes. So we try to garnet it and come up with the fibers again and make new yarns again. That will be in Taytay. And hopefully, again, also next year, we'll get one more for Negros Island.
I'm also curious, Dr. Jones, about
wow,
your
this
initiatives.
is so exciting.
Yes.
About upscaling weavers.
Yes.
You have this initiative called Mananahi ng Barangay.
Oh, yes.
Tell us all about
Well,
that.
thank you very much for noting that the mananahi ng barangay is one way of connecting and integrating the value chain. Kasi pag may tela ka na, susunod. Hindi mo na pwedeng isuot yung tela, di ba? You had to get it constructed. But, this is not your run-of-the-mill type of mananahi. We want them to be creatives. We want them to be entrepreneurs. We want them to be updated with the current skills and digital tools that are available in the market. And we want this to be in the barangay. You don't pluck them and put them in the cities.
Para rin they don't go too far away from home.
Yes, from home. Yes.
Malapit sila sa mga anak nila.
Yes, exactly. Because we're working heavily with an industry that's, women-led.
So bibili rin kayo ng machines?
Yes, that's totally part of the package. So ite-train sila, they'll be mentored by designers, they'll be given tools, they'll be given access to financial technologies as well. So buo yung intervention natin. And this is not just about magtatahi ka. It's about selling a whole new lifestyle. And I don't mean high fashion. This is, the level that Filipinos deserve in the barangay level. So we're very happy and fortunate. Next year we'll be implementing that.
I remember, Dr. Jules, that there is a law that exists that mandates that all government employees should be wearing
Philippine tropical fabric. Yes,
Correct.
and we are celebrating that in January, so I hope to be back.
Really?
That's Republic
Is
Act
it
90.
finally going to happen?
Well, that's a very old law.
Yes, very
But
old.
what's happening now, it's a chicken and egg thing. The industry is also not prepared. So we're trying to bridge all of these together. It's a hard work for government as well. Well, at least at my end of government work, because you have to match the farmer's output, the production output, whoever will wear them, whoever will sew. But it's a huge market.
Kalaki na ba ang production nito?
Matutuwa kayo because out of the government requirement, we are already 1% compliant. But that's it's not a long way to go, but it
1%.
cannot 1% comply. But you're talking about 2 million government employees. But ang sa amin dito is it's not about government doing it. It's about the private sector doing it. It's about government taking the lead and showing that there's money here.
The opportunity to create textiles again could be a national industry again.
It is. Actually, that's part of my capstone at the DAP because we have to revive it. It's still part of your basic needs.
We lost that.
We lost that opportunity.
Yeah.
We have not imagined the Filipinos to be roaming around naked. So for as long as we'll be wearing clothes, textiles will be relevant, right? It will be. And there's a surge of nationalism.
Yeah.
Suddenly people are buying, hand-woven products.
So who's making that? Who's making
This
that? Yung bulto-bulto?
Ito, in Manila. We have at least 2 weavers in Manila who are producing it in large scale. Well, at least in huge
Pero
scales.
do we have enough pinya, banana,
Very good
etc.?
question that because we are trying to match them. Ayaw natin mag-overproduce ng fiber and then walang bibili. Ayaw mo rin naman ng walang fiber at walang mabili. So it's really a tuning thing. It's a balancing act. Very tough and very, that's really where government comes in.
But is there a specific variety of pineapple that...
We are working with the queen pineapple. That's the one planted in Bukidnon. Kasi after getting the fruit, anong gagawin mo dun sa halaman, di ba? So that's exactly what we're working on. Iba yung aklad pinya, the one they make for barongs.
Or iba rin yung sa Tagaytay?
Well, Tagaytay is similar to the Bukidnon variety. Queen pineapple, Formosa, very similar. Industrial pineapple. And then banana, kahit anong saging pwede.
Talaga?
Yes.
Kahit
like
Saba,
Cavendish,
lakatan.
Saba, Lakatan. Well, you are not getting it from the peels, by the way. You're getting it from the trunk. Because the banana, once it bears fruit, it will never bear fruit again.
Yeah, once a year.
No, not once
Mabuti
a
pa
year.
ang
Once
DOST.
in its lifetime.
Lagyan ng maraming budget.
Tama yan. But it's a nice times for the institute. I've been there for more than 20 years. But
Really?
yes, I've been there for 23 years. So I started there when I was 2. You're so yeah, but the good thing is we have been receiving funds. And in government, the expression of policy is funding.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's just lip service, right? So if the president says we will support Telang Pinoy, true enough, it translated to the budget. So we are trying to maximize every single peso because, all of these touches lives directly. And we see women. We just closed the Philippine Textile Congress for the year today.
Right.
And we saw women, we saw men even who are into the weaving sector, and you see them brighten up because of whatever is happening with the industry. Very incremental, but then there's a lot of work to do, and we're very happy that
And it's
we're
not
there.
often that government puts a smile on people's faces.
Yeah.
So that's good to hear.
Yes.
I was looking at you a while
Congratulations
ago.
on what you do.
Thank you very much.
We'll have you again for your sustainability.
Yes, more on sustainability very soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time and giving us joy.
Yes.
Julius Leaño Jr., Director of the DOST Philippine Textile Research Institute.
Okay, and that's all the time that we have for the big story this Thursday. Thank you so much for watching.
We're back tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. See you then.
Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time. Have a good night.